Welcome to Retrained Search, the podcast, where we lift the lid on what it's really like to work retained, discuss the stories we've gathered along the way, and give you all a peek behind the scenes of our amazing community and how they're getting ahead. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this exciting episode with the Retained Search Show. Today, I'm delighted to share that I'm joined by Manan Shah, and he is the co-founder of Recruiterflow. And I can't wait to geek out on all things tech and how Recruiterflow is helping recruiters. I've been foraying a lot into tech and AI recently, so I know Kirsty's lined this up especially for us. So firstly, Manan, tell us a little bit about you, tell us a little bit about your business and who you serve and how you serve them.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. So I'm co-founder and CEO of Recruiterflow. We primarily work with small and medium-sized recruiting and search businesses. So anywhere from a startup doing about $500,000 in revenue all the way till about $100 million in revenue. That's the kind of range we operate in. We primarily work with permanent interim recruiting and executive search. We don't really work with temp recruiting businesses. So we are very focused in terms of the customers that we target. So these are the people that we primarily serve. Was there any other question there?
Tell me a bit where you're based, because I had a really good chat with someone based in the same area as you yesterday.
Yeah, no, we are based in Bangalore, in the at the central tech hub of Bangalore, which is the technology hub in India.
And my favorite curry, home of my favorite curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, no.
So tell me a bit, Manan, if you will, about how or why you got into developing tech for recruitment businesses.
Quite accidentally, to be completely honest, right? So this is not my first software business, right? Like, so right out of university, me and my co-founders, right? Like we were friends from university. We got together. We started an AI company called Retention.ai back in 2013 when AI wasn't a household name back then. It was a different world back then. But we essentially helped mobile developers prevent churn, right? Like prevent their users from deleting their apps. The business got acquired by a media company. Now, media company was fantastic at hiring media and content people, but they were starting a tech division, which is why they acquired our company. And the recruiting team there was just not equipped to hire in this space, right? Like, so as I was leading that whole division, it fell upon me. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me figure out what I can do. So I built a very stitched together different solutions and built a tech stack that really helped us scale our tech recruiting. And what I realized at that time was that almost all the recruiting tools, as I was doing this research, right, like almost all the recruiting tools were built for processes. They were built for a lot of control, but not really built for velocity. They were not really built for productivity. So we built Recruiterflow to help recruiters move fast, right? Like we realized that recruiting is as important, if not more, as your inside sales teams, right? Now, this value proposition, right? Like at that time, we were primarily selling to internal talent acquisition. But the value, as soon as we launched, within about 6 months, we realized that okay, 60% of our customers are recruiting, search businesses and search and recruiting businesses, right? So we pivoted in 2019, and yeah, never looked back. So here we are. So
Wow.
a few
And so
accidental discoveries.
tell me a bit more, if you will, about the detail of that. So I'm intrigued about what did you see in terms of the need or the gaps, if you like, that wasn't there with other sort of tech solutions. What was it that led you to build what you create, and how is it different?
Sure, yeah. So um, first of all, right? So let's break this down into two things, right? Like we'll first uh, talk about the product and the features, and second, right? Like why did it happen the way that it happened in the
Mm,
industry, right? Like so for example, right? Like we were the first in the industry to have outbound sequencing as part of your CRM. This was a very standard thing to do for salespeople. It was just never, nobody said, oh, recruiters can also really use this.
mm,
We never really had like real prospecting tools built for recruiters, right? Like great prospecting tools built for salespeople, but there is a massive element of sales when you are doing recruiting as well. Um,
absolutely.
and but the tooling, right, like it's like is worlds apart for them. um the if you see, right, like if you look at legacy recruiting tools, right, like they were I don't want to name names, but like they're focused on top down control, top down analytics and stuff like that, right? Like it really, instead of working with the consultant, right? Like helping them do their day-to-day work faster so that they can spend more time with their candidates and clients. They get in their way of doing that, right? Like that's why you have an adoption problem. And the reason that traditionally this has worked very well is CRM products are sold top down, right? Like you
Mm,
sell the CRM to a CXO, to a VP, and then they basically say, okay, you know what? These are the kind of reports that I want, and this is what I want my consultants to do day to day, and it gets implemented top down. It gets, so essentially, management kind of shoves it down the throat of the consultants, right? Like those who are on the front lines. And that's why you always have adoption problem, right? Like you're, because it's not really helping them, do their job. It's not really helping them make more money, right? Like so, whatever top down you impose is what gets done when you implement a CRM. Um, Back in 2015, 2014, right? We had this whole wave of new tooling for salespeople, which was bottom up, right? Like it was built for people who were on the front lines, right? Like it was built for them to work faster. And as a result, right? Like so the whole idea was that if sure, management wants their reporting, they want their visibility, they want their control, fantastic. But if those who are actually supposed to be using the CRM, they don't really use it, nobody wins, right? Like it's a lose-lose proposition for everyone. So instead, let's look at this from the other side, right? Like let's build something that is for bottom up, right? Which is built for those on the front lines. It helps them do better. And in the end, right, like of course, management ends up having much better visibility, much better adoption in their business. And uh, we saw a similar trend, or rather, our hypothesis was that a similar trend would come in recruiting as well, right? Like the way it did in best of the best sales tooling. And, we were, um, I think it's safe to say now we were, I think, pretty right about that.
okay, cool. Yes, and I completely agree that the multidimensional, the conversation about the difference between how sales professionals in industry, and probably specifically in tech, are enabled, trained, tooled versus the way that recruiters are
Yeah.
enabled, trained, and tooled, when actually essentially it's the same job. And a
Yeah.
lot of the learnings that I've had over the years in sales and business development has come from the candidates that I've placed in sales. Not
Exactly.
necessarily. I mean, some of it comes from, has come, but a lot of that has mainly been process and, control of processes and so on. But yeah, the whole solution sales piece is obviously widely used in all industries, and
Yeah.
a lot of recruitment agencies just don't apply those those same very universally widely known to be successful tactics to their own businesses. So it doesn't surprise me that the tech and the tooling is the same. I think maybe I've worked for some quite progressive firms. We've had Salesforce in a couple of the businesses that I've worked in, and I've enjoyed that. But of course, it doesn't do the CRM piece, so you end up
Yeah.
having two different systems, which which isn't ideal. Um, what In terms of AI, I'm doing more and more with it. We're doing more and more with it as a business, and finding out its limitations, and working out how it helps us, and where, in various different formats. How have you leveraged AI in recruitment tooling and processes?
That's a yeah, that's a fantastic question. So we started thinking about this uh, back in late 2023, right? Like, how will this whole thing pan out, right? Like, and in AI years, that's like decades ago.
Yeah.
But no, but we essentially realized that there is we've categorized the way you can implement AI in this industry in three things, right? Like, so the first was so one key thing that we realized was that as the complexity of the role increases, the volume of candidates that you need to process decreases quite exponentially, right? Like, so to say in a much simpler terms, right? Like, if you're looking to place, let's say, a retail clerk versus you're looking to place a VP of marketing, right? The number of candidates that you are going to need to process for the VP job is going to be way fewer than compared to a retail clerk, right? Like, and the relationship is quite exponential. So we said, okay, you know what? Then we will divide this into three bits, right? Like, so the first is your very high velocity recruiting, where not a lot of nuance. Uh, it's all about speed. It's all about execution, right? And that's the name of the game. And all the businesses, right, like, are working on very thin margins, and their only lever is how fast they can do stuff. They're not really have, don't really need a lot of accuracy. Um, we categorize them as that, okay, the way they can implement AI is, become an AI native business, right? Like, so think, because not really a lot of decision making is needed, but and AI can do a lot of the work, including decision making for them. The second is your, mid senior level positions where there is nuanced decision making. AI, again, will not be very good at making those decisions. It does not. AI is fantastic for breadth, not really very good for depth. And I think you also realize the same for your own business. Really, it's breadth does really well, depth not so much, right? So um, for those kinds of businesses, right, like, AI will uh, reduce the amount of complexity that a recruiter has to deal with to make those decisions, will help them make more accurate decisions. But still, you can't really make any decisions. And then you got your exec search. An exec search, right? Like AI's only job is to augment the person, because again, it's a the ball game is very, very different. And so we don't really do AI native, right? Like we primarily do AI assist, right? Like so decision making is assisted by AI, and AI augment, but there is no decision making. We don't get, but like everything is designed to augment that human decision making process, right? So that's the way that we are looking at AI in the industry, and
Mm,
also the way how what we want to do here at Recruiterflow. Um, we've been so in that vein, right? Like we have a bunch of different agents. We have a bunch of different AI tools that we've built in. So, for example, AI can, take notes. So we've got our own note taker, which can take notes. If the candidate, when you're screening a candidate, the candidate talks about a bunch of different things. It can put it into all relevant fields and stuff like that. So that's one thing. Uh, Obviously, AI is very good at consuming a lot of information, summarizing all of that. So so we have a lot of tooling around that. One very interesting thing is uh, what's which is really challenging and also really really interesting to us right now is we think that over the course of next 2 3 years. The UI and the UX of typical software needs to evolve, where so far, right, like UI UX has always been about how humans interact with computers. Now it's humans and AI agents interacting with computers and delivering a particular task. It's a fascinating problem. It's a fascinating challenge, and we will see some of that happening over next 2 to 3 years.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's so interesting that. And I mean, I'm nowhere near as clever as you and as knowledgeable and as experienced in any of this, but even the work that we're doing, for example, the work that we do to leverage or to the way in which AI assists us in processing large amounts of data and then turning that into usable playbooks
Yeah.
for our students, our members to learn, for example. We might have a 2 day long mastermind that lots and lots and lots of information, very, very, very helpful and useful information is shared. And the way in which it can process that data and separate it and segment it and organize it to help us then make that a way of people being able to learn from what's happened over those 2 days is massively helpful. Like, I actually don't know
Absolutely.
how we manage without it really now.
Yeah.
Um, but then the whole flip side of that is, so it's enabling us and helping us to make the learning and the user experience of the learning easier. But then the other dimension is we're now integrating AI into our programs so that that same learning can then assist in the learning because
Yeah.
it can answer questions, it can dive into all of the topics broadly or narrow down into a specific as an assistant within our learning platform. And that's like two completely different dimensions of how, we use it in just one context. And we're still getting, wrapping our head around the other ways in which it can help. So you guys are are way ahead. And I really love the way that you explained that AI native versus AI assist and AI augment in in the kind of low level, high volume, mid senior, and then exec search. I love that. What, if any, experience have you had with supporting recruiters at that more senior end that are, operating with more limited talent pools, more niche and sought after skill sets, and operating, well, from our perspective, they're always operating on a retained basis where their, speed and volume is not the objective,
Yeah.
but thoroughness and quality of delivery is. What experience do you have, Manan, of that and helping recruiters through that?
Wow, that's a fantastic question.
Are you enjoying this so far? Don't miss a single episode. Hit the subscribe button right now so you can be part of the conversation that's shaping the future of recruitment. So we dive really deep into the strategies, the stories, and the truth about retained search. So if you want to hear more about it, or you know someone else that needs to hear this, then share it with them. Right, let's get back to the good stuff.
So let's break this down by different things that we've seen our customers achieve, right? And I think what also I'm going to talk about some of the examples that we have done internally,
Sure.
which I'm sure can help our customers and other exec search firms. So, for example, right, like so. We spoke about solution selling, right? Like so, majority of retained search uh, when you're landing a new business, when you're landing a new mandate, in most cases, it would be solution selling, right?
Yeah.
Like you are not there to bring in, a head on the seat. You're there to solve a problem for that exec, right? So now, to be able to do that, right? Like you need to establish yourself as somebody who knows that space, knows that company really, really well. So what we've seen is one of the things that some of our customers have done is that, okay, you know what? I'm going to talk to a COO of let's say, a healthcare company. Now, among all the healthcare companies that we've spoken to in last 6 months, right? Give me all of those conversations. They can go through all of their notes, their summaries that AI has generated. You can ask questions to it, right? Like, hey, what's the impact of this new regulation, right? Like, has anybody mentioned that? What's the impact of AI? Has anybody
Mm.
mentioned that, right? Like, so your prep for the meeting is
Mm.
incredible. You can so jokingly, one of my customers said, right, like it helps me sound way smarter than I am, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, so that's one use case, right? Like really help you do solution
Mm.
selling, right? Like it just really expands
Mm.
the amount of information that you can analyze and you can give to your clients. That's number one. Number two is it really increases your accuracy, right? Like you can create not really accuracy, but your presentation of accuracy, right? Like so you
Mm.
can create this very complex matrix for your client presentations on why certain people made it to your shortlist and why the others did not make it to your shortlist and stuff like
Mm.
that. And you can
Mm.
get AI to make beautiful presentations for you with very articulate, right? Like you have to give it the reasons, but it'll articulate them very, very well, structure them very, very well. So that's another, presentations and document making is another very
Yeah.
wide use case
I,
that
I
we
use it
see.
for that every day, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing which we are using internally, right? Like so, whenever um, so our sales team goes on sales calls, right? Like whenever a competitor's name is mentioned, uh, it raises we've built this automation in Recruiterflow. Whenever that name is mentioned, it tags that particular call with something, and then we can just search
Interesting.
all of those calls. Now, our marketing team, when they're making battle cards, when our product marketing team is making those battle cards, or when our business development team comes across, oh, we know that they use this competitor. What are our account executives saying? What are some of the things that they're saying to deposition that competitor, and how do we use that? So now so again, right, like if you are you're pitching a client, and they, let's just pick a name, right, like they say, oh, why should I use this small firm when I can use somebody like Corn Ferry? What should be your answer, right? Like you can go through last few months how you have depositioned somebody as large as Corn Ferry, and won the mandate, right? Like find those patterns, make that a practice, right? Like so you keep getting better and better at it.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. And how then do you do you think this is changing the sort of landscape for recruiters from a business development perspective? I guess, I'm fascinated with the learning that we get as recruiters from industry and from other industries, right? As salespeople. Do you see that changing? Um, how do recruiters need to adjust to keep getting ahead? What's your experience and opinion of that?
Uh, I I don't really think so first, right, like the first major thing that I don't think it has changed
Really?
so much right now, but it will change very soon. That's my
Mm,
hypothesis. But it's that clients will expect more,
mm,
because some other search firm, they are using all of this AI. They are building those beautiful presentations. They are building those
mm.
um, so some of those things that I just said, right? Like they are using all of this to better assist their clients. So and as more and more people start doing that, that will become the standard expectation
Yeah.
from your exec search consultant, right?
What
Like this is
I
what you would
mean,
think.
I talk to a lot of recruiters, all day, every day, and my team do too, and you obviously do as well. What do you? I mean, it's difficult because there's no sort of measure. Well, there is one thing that I use actually as a measure of where people are with AI, but if you could sort of explain your view on where the recruitment industry as a whole, in your experience of those that you talk to, is with AI, if they are kind of at the beginning of their journey, they're in the middle or they're at the front edge of using it to its full capacity, how would you describe the industry as you see it in terms of its progression and utilization um, of generative AI in their work?
I think compared to the other industries, unfortunately, our industry is a little bit of a laggard. It usually has been when it comes to tech.
Mm,
Not necessarily a bad thing, though. Now, uh, in terms of where we are, right? Like I think we are at a place where there is a lot of uh, expectations are really really high. Behind those expectations, right? That there's a lot of money and budget being burnt. Um, so we are approaching that or we are probably already there at that peak euphoria, peak expectation, and I think in 2026, right, like we are going to hit that plateau, right, like where people are going to start asking for that real ROI. um, what happened, what did not happen, what worked, what did not. So for example, right, like you said, oh, we did some things very well, but some of the other things, right, like AI was not even close to what we
mm,
expected it to do, right? And so you're a little bit ahead of the curve, in terms of you're ahead of the curve from the industry. But so industry writ large will also realize something very similar. They will start asking questions. Oh, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, but what did we get out of it, right? And I think that realization probably will come in 26, maybe early 27. That being said, right, like I don't really think that uh, it's a fad, right? Like so, it's we are definitely seeing concrete improvements in accuracy. We are definitely seeing concrete improvements in recruiter productivity. We are seeing not just in that, right? Like so, it's not we are seeing improvement in gross margins and revenue per
Mm,
recruiter, right? Like so, we are
mm,
seeing all of these metrics move up.
right.
Um, and at some point of time, right? Like, so of course, people are also investing a lot of money in moving those metrics, but some point of time, that question will come, right? Like, hey, where is the ROI? Where the ROI is not there? What's feasible? What's not feasible? Um, but
Tell me a bit, if you will, then about like where do you see that? So you will have had some transformational impact on some of the clients that you've worked with. Can you share with us like how that's happened and yeah, some examples?
sure, yeah, no, absolutely. So Uh, most of the majority of the workloads that our AI agents are handling are something that a human would never do, right? Like so, I would say about 85% of our agentic workloads are never possible kind of things. So, for example, you have as soon as you source a candidate from LinkedIn or from a referral, wherever, right? Um, you need to categorize that person. So your ordinary CV parsing will only do okay, job title, company, and stuff like that. But with AI, right? Like if you work at, let's say, you work at let's say Sainsbury's, right? Like it would put, and before that you worked at, let's say, BBC, right? Like so it would put your industry experience as retail as well as media, right? And if you can accurately ask, right, like number of years of retail experience, number of years of media experience, seniority at those experiences. So you can have very specific questions, a specific way to categorize and encode the people that you're bringing into your database, right? Like so. Earlier, something like this was just humanly impossible to do because it would take way too much effort and time. Super easy, very common use case of something that our customers do with Recruiterflow. AI note takers, again, a fantastic
Mm,
example, right? Like it allows
that's a
you,
game
and
changer, an absolute game changer.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? So um, AI document makers and presentation
Mm,
makers, again, right?
mm,
Like
another game
fabulous.
changer. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah, very
not
good.
just, and also, right, like I think one thing also that we are seeing is people's expectation is changing from the software, right? Like earlier, people would go and click on multiple places. Now, because of ChatGPT and Gemini and all of these fantastic AI tools that we've got, everybody expects, oh, I'll just type my question and I will expect an accurate answer because it's
Mm,
all there. Uh,
mm,
Again, right, like that change in human computer interaction is also very fascinating. It just makes
mm,
things so much faster as well, much more
yeah.
accessible for everyone as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, good.
yeah, that's
For years and years and years, I've been a note taker. I've been a note taker all my life. I take notes for everything, everywhere. Um, and for years and years, I've been saying, I wish I had a control F for my notebooks. Like I've
yeah.
got, I don't know, 100 notebooks in my cupboard. Like there's all of the notebooks that I've ever used in my career. I've got notes on every client I've met, every candidate I've met, everything. And I can't find anything in them. I can't find anything.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's pointless me having them because I've got absolutely no clue where anything is. And now we've got this incredible way of being able to store not just our notes or our interpretation of what's been said, but what was actually said in those conversations, and an ability to be able to find the information that we need. And yeah, that advancement that only happened, well, for me in the work that we do in the last couple of weeks, where you can actually ask it an intelligent question around. There was someone I spoke to that talked about this, and I can't remember when it was or who it was. Can you work out who that was and when that was? And it can find that conversation. It's absolutely
Exactly.
incredible.
It's
Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
to be able to do that with, within a CRM and with the candidates and the clients that you've spoken to is just incredible.
Yeah. And think about it, right? Like, so, search recruiting, this is a people business, right? Like majority of the time, what you're doing is you're talking to people, whether on the phone, on Zoom,
Exactly. Yeah.
whatever. And all of that data is never captured,
Yeah,
right?
I
All of
know.
their
It's
intelligence was never
frightening, isn't
captured.
it? Isn't
Yeah.
it frightening? Yeah, to think that we
Yeah.
didn't have that before. So, I mean, just take that thing for a minute. And what I was trying to get to, probably didn't ask very eloquently before, is let's say you're talking to a client. How many proportionately, roughly, like how many clients are quite advanced in their use of AI and they're using it for their note takers, their interrogation of the assessment of candidates and the matrix of evidence for their suitability and their presentations and their client research and so on and so on. And how many proportionately like aren't, and how many are sort of in the middle.
But I think about 15%, I would say, is in category one, where they are using AI very proactively. They're thinking about, what more can I do with it? Sometimes realistic, sometimes very unrealistic expectations, but they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, I would say about 35% of the businesses are in the train where they're using a little bit, they have chat GPT, they don't really know what exactly they can do with it.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
looking for guidance. They know they want to do something with it, but they don't really know where, how can they get started.
Right.
And then
Right.
I would say about 40-50% of the businesses were like, oh, you know what, I'm getting chat GPT to write me my emails, and
Emails. Yeah, that's so
all that, and
funny.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm using AI in
Oh,
my
good.
business. And yeah, they are still there, but I think, again, they will, sooner or later, they will come forward.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's so interesting. That's so interesting. So what's next for you in Recruiterflow, Manan? What exciting projects have you got on the horizon?
Yeah, a lot of them. So we are now releasing almost every month. We are releasing a new agent now. So one
Tell me,
thing.
what's an agent? Like, tell me, let's go into that for a second.
Oh, okay. So I very recently did a post on my LinkedIn of what's AI, what's agent, what's an AI agent, right? Like, so
Yeah.
essentially, right, like agent is something that does the work for you automatically without you prompting it and prompting anything, right? So you let's say, right, like every time you get a new CV from your candidate, right, like you put it in ChatGPT and you ask exactly the same question to ChatGPT every time, you get their answer, you put copy paste that into your CRM, right? Like now that's use of AI. But now what an agent would do is that it will recognize that a new CV has come in, read that CV, ask that question, answer that question, put it on that candidate's profile on your CRM, where
Wow.
your interaction with it is zero. That's an AI agent. So
Got you.
AI agent essentially creates multiple, it takes data from multiple different sources, um, runs based on the rules that you've set in, and automatically generates an output for you. So
Mm,
if it does something automatically for you, that's an AI agent.
right. Because I talk to a lot of people about stuff like this, again, all day, every day. Those that want to. Anyway, I agree with you. I
Yeah,
think there's a good 40% that are like, yeah, I'm using Copilot for my emails and
yeah,
we're AI enabled and that's it, right? But those people that are kind of in the middle that are starting to realize that there's more that can be done there. Like someone said to me yesterday, oh, I've got an agent that is creating standard operating procedures. So it's using the training that we give and turning it into SOPs for the business, and
Perfect.
bespoke for their business. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But it wasn't an agent; it was a custom GPT.
Yeah.
But he was
So
describing it as an agent, and there's
yeah,
two different things there, isn't
two
there?
different
And
things. Yeah.
yeah,
So if that person, right, like deploys that integrates that custom GPT with their CRM or whatever tech stack that they are using, where you know automatically instead that SOP gets generated and somebody violating that SOP gets a notification, that's an agent. That's an
yeah.
AI agent.
Okay. Um, so you can have agents that are these sort of integrated into your CRM, the agents? Are they separate plugins that people use? How do you typically see that deployed?
So right now, almost all the agents that we have are built in-house, integrated into our product. But
Right.
that being said, right, like the way there you have an ecosystem of apps, right? Like so where other apps can plug into a central
Oh
software
yes, yes
like
we
that.
do.
So now, very soon, right? Like, I don't know how soon, but soon enough, I guess you will start seeing ecosystem of agents,
Mm,
where so of course, right? Like we cannot build all the agents that our customers might need ourselves, right? Like, so what we are also doing is we're building, and that's again goes back to the problem, the UI UX problem that I said, right? Like we have to now reimagine our platform in a way where not just our own agents, because our own agents is very simple, but anybody else's agents can also work inside Recruiterflow. And
yeah,
that's how we create that
yeah,
ecosystem that's, I think our customers deserve. So,
yeah.
um,
Amazing.
yeah.
So interesting. Where can our listeners connect with you if they want to talk to you, Manan? What's the best
Oh,
place?
LinkedIn. I'm generally pretty responsive on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
and also email. I'm pretty old school that way.
good,
Email and LinkedIn is the best way to reach me.
good. And it's Manan Shah of Recruiterflow. I've
No, it's just
absolutely.
Manan at Recruiterflow.
Oh, is it Manan at Recruiterflow in terms of the
Yeah,
email?
yeah.
And I've absolutely loved talking to you today, Manan. I'm excited to see and hear about the developments of the tooling that you're using and providing to your customers. And I'd love to talk to you again, as things develop. Thank you so much for sharing your what you see, what you hear, and your thoughts on the industry. I hope you've enjoyed having a conversation today. Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's been a real pleasure. I Yeah, it was real geeking out with you. It's very rare that I get to geek out on AI and tech, and generally we mostly just talk about the business and all of that, but not real you know philosophy or the way we see tech going and evolving. So yeah, this was a very fun conversation. It's very surprising that we've never met
Mm,
because I'm every 6 weeks on an average, right? Like in a year, I spend uh, about 2 months in UK. Uh,
okay, cool.
Mostly I'm in London, but I do travel to Birmingham, Manchester, different places
Yeah,
every
very
so
good.
often.
Well, let me know when you're next over. That'd be cool to get together.
Yeah,
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 and
I'll be
you'll have
there
to
in September.
show me the software and let me have a look. And it will have come a long way, I'm sure, by September. But yeah, very interesting. And long may it continue developing. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's absolute having the time of my life right now.
Good.
Uh, and yeah, I It's so funny. Started working on AI 2013, and it feels like it has come a full circle now. Nobody cared about AI back then. We were a bunch of geeks just shouting at the top of our lungs, "Oh, you can solve this with AI!" But oh wow, yeah, it's been fun few years for me.
Yeah. And now we're listening. Now we're listening. Yeah, so keep going. Keep going. Really nice to have you on the show, Manan. All the best. I'll see you
My pleasure.
soon. Thanks a
Thank you.
lot. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast in the bag. Thanks for listening to our wild tales, LinkedIn controversies, and our top tips on how to sell and deliver retained search. Get involved in our next episode. Send in your questions and share your experiences with us by emailing podcast@retrainedsearch.com. And don't be shy. Connect with us on LinkedIn and come and say hi. We don't bite. Unless you're a Shrek firm, that is. We want to say a special thank you to our retrained members for sharing what's working for them right now and innovating new ways to grow and evolve. It's an incredible community. If you're wondering what exactly we mean when we mention our communities, well, we have two separate programs. Our Search Foundations program is for recruiters who want to learn how to sell and deliver retained search solutions consistently. And we have our Search Mastery program. That's for business leaders or owners already at 50% retained or more and looking to scale and grow and structure their search firm. We cap memberships to these programs to protect the integrity of the community. If you want access, just talk to us. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll be back very soon with another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast.